question number 13 of module 2B. This is the harder module. So which finding, if true, most directly support Paredis's argument? So let's actually read here. And the first thing we want to do is we want to actually identify the argument given in the passage. And then we want to be able to infer evidence that could support the argument. In the 20th century, ethnographers made a concerted effort to collect Mexican-American folklore, but they did not always agree about the folklore's origins. So this is an important part, right? This indicates a shift in idea. So they don't know the origins. Scholars such as Aurelio Espinosa claimed that Mexican-American folklore derived largely from the folklore of Spain, which ruled Mexico in what is now the southwestern United States from the 16th to the early 19th century. So one scholar says it's from Spain. Scholars such as Americo Paredes, so let's see what he says, by contrast argued that while some Spanish influence is undeniable, let's check out his claim, let's highlight it as well. Right? Mexican-American folklore is mainly the product of ongoing interactions of various cultures in Mexico and the United States. Thank you, Mr. Min. So what does Mr. Paredes believe that Mexican folklore is United States culture multiplied times Mexican culture, right? So it's the various cultures in Mexico and the United States. So people told me answer A. The folklore the ethnographers collected included several songs written in the form of a decima, a type of poem originating in late 16th century Spain. How does this support Paredes's argument when he says that Mexican folklore is from the United States and Mexican cultures? Right? Indeed, Mr. Min. So answer A won't work. A lot of you told me answer B. Much of the folklore the ethnographers collected had similar elements from region to region. I feel like this is a bit too general. It's a bit too broad right now. I wouldn't like this. This doesn't support that it comes from Mexican-American folklore. It comes from Mexico and the United States. So I wouldn't say answer B. C, probably told me answer C, right? Most of the folklore the ethnographers collected was previously unknown to scholars. So I need to think, how would this support Paredes's argument? How would it support that Mexican folklore is a mix of United States culture or cultures in the United States and cultures in Mexico? So I wouldn't say answer C. And what about answer D? Now remember, all because you're left with an answer choice does not make it correct. You always have to verify your answer, right? Just like Google or Facebook or Instagram, they ask you for a two-step verification. I need you to also apply some sort of two-step verification to make sure your answer is correct. Most of the folklore the ethnographers collected consisted of cuerdos, ballads about history and social life of a clearly recent origin. Ooh, interesting, right? How does this support Mr. Paredes's argument? Right? How does this support, how does it being of clearly recent origin support Mr. Paredes's arguments? We need to think deeply now about this, right? All because we're eliminating answers does not mean the final answer is correct. I will tell you answer D is correct, right? I will tell you answer D is correct. However, why? Should I tell you why? Okay. It comes from the central part of the text. And Espinosa believed that Spain, yes, Spain, which ruled Mexico and what is now the southwestern United States from the 16th to the early 19th century. So one way we can see this answer is from the 16th century to the early 19th century, meaning from the 1500s, thank you, Mr. Min, up until the 1800s, there was Spanish influence. But Mr. Parida says no, there is no Spanish influence in Mexican folklore. And the influence of Mexican folklore comes from the cultures of Mexico and of the United States. So then we can assume that this influence came after the 15 to the 1800s. It came in the 1850s, for example. So we can assume that it is of recent origin because this would come after Spanish influence. So here we're going to say answer D. Hard question. But then again, when I go through other answers, I know for a fact answer A is 100% incorrect because we're not looking for Spanish influence. Parida says it's not Spanish influence. Parida says it's Mexican and United States influence. And the answer is B. Well, there is no support here. I mean, ethnographers collected had similar elements from region to region. So is it Spanish elements from region to region, or Mexican elements, or United States-based elements? I don't know, right? Answer C, again, most of the folklore collected was previously unknown to scholars. Okay, so now it's known. How does that support? Mexican folklore is based off of cultures in Mexico and cultures in the United States. The best answer would be answer D. Again, one more time. Why? First of all, ballads about history and social life, this is related to folklore. But beyond this, it being recent. And why did we say it was recent? Because Spanish influence stretched from the 16th to the 19th century, meaning from the 1500s to the 1800s. And if Paredes believes that there's no Spanish influence in Mexican folklore, that means we can understand Mexican folklore came after Spanish influence, which we post 1800s, indicating recent origin.